let's see how can we add the actual images, because remember in our movie file we do have the poster and we have images, so we can actually get these images from these links. Okay, images of the movie. The first thing I want to make sure, so let's make this previewable. So I'm going to say preview as such, but we're going to have a problem here because if you have over, it's going to say composable functions with non-default parameters are not supported in preview unless they are annotated with preview parameter. Well, in this case here, all it's saying is that some of the parameters here must have some total default values. So for us, I'm just going to pass a, say, get movies, right? Remember this get movies return a list of movies, and I'm just going to say I want to get the first movie. So we have some data default. So here, this is another way of getting the first item from a list. So we call get movies, which returns a list, and then we want the first index or index 0 there, right? So get the first movie. Well, let's split it. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, there we have it. So this is what we see. Nothing new there. So let's start with adding some information here. So after our title here, what I'm going to do actually, I'm going to create a column. In this column here, we're going to take all of this text and put inside of this column. The reason being is because we want to add other text below the title. So let's go ahead first. I'm going to put a modifier here. Modifier. Give a padding of about 4 dp. Okay, that seems to be what we always do. And let me copy this a few times over just to show you a few things. Okay, so the first we have a title, and while we're here, we may also add a modifier here, and I want modifier, let's say style. I want to modify style, so let's add this style. In this case, I'm going to say material, theme, I want typography, and let's say H6, so not too large. Then for this text here, I'm just going to say, let's put that inside of double quotes because we are going to interpolate here. This is going to be director, and let's say style for this one, material, theme, and we're going to go to typography again, and we want to make it a caption, so small. Okay, let's go ahead and then get rid of this. In this case, I'm going to use the released such, and let's say movie.release. So we're just getting, no, I think it's here. Let's see it here. Yeah, there we go. Just getting the properties of the movie object, right? Release, we're getting the year this movie was released. Okay, let's go ahead and refresh real quick here. We should be able to see something, hopefully. Okay, that looks really good. I like that. Okay, now we need to work on the image because we don't want this icon just to show as it is right now. So we want to get rid of that. So how do we then bring in images, especially bring in images from a URL in Compose? Well, there are a few ways, but there is one recommended way, which is to use this library called Coil. So Coil is a library that allows us to get images from URL, as you see here. If we go to this website, so we just Google Coil, Jetpack Coil, as you see here, you will see that Coil is a Jetpack Compose library that allows us to add images. There are other things that you can do with it, but mainly is to help us with adding images into our apps using URL. So in this case, if an image is at this URL, you can use image and then pass the remember image painter and so forth. Now, this library is really helpful because it deals with all the underlying issues when you're trying to get images from a URL. Okay, so takes care of all the memory issues, everything that as developers in this case we don't want to take care of. Okay, so it's really easy to use. But the first thing we need to do, of course, is to add the dependency to say that we can get the library onto our project. So I'm going to copy this, or you can just click that there, the clipboard. And what do we need to do? Let's go to our project. and we need to go to Gradle scripts. So we take the second one, the module movie app, double click, and you can see we have a lot of other implementations there. So all we're going to do, somewhere, we can just go here, and I like to always add some sort of information so I know what library does what, or dependency, and let's go ahead and add that there. Okay, so we have Coil, and the next thing you need to do is to sync. That way the whole project is synced, so we can start using this library. After a few moments, everything should be good. Just get out of there, and now we can just comment this out. Good, this is our icon. So here I'm just going to go ahead and say image. That's that, and I'm going to use the first one that says painter. Now the thing we're going to do here, we're just going to start typing remember and say image painter like this. So we're going to use the first one. There we go. Actually, this is not what we want. We want another one, but it's okay. We can just overload it by saying data. So the data we're going to pass here is going to be the link, the URL. In this case, will be something like this, right? So where do we get the image URL? Well, we get that from our object. I'm going to say movie dot, and I'm going to say poster. But the problem with poster, I learned, even though I added here, is that this is a broken link. So don't use poster. We're going to actually go and get one of these images. This is a list of image. We can just go ahead and fetch one of them. Okay. So instead of poster, which should be what we would get, we're just going to say get images, and I'm going to get just the first image there. Okay, from our list of images. And then here I'm going to say movie poster as such for content description. Now there's another thing that would happen because we are invoking remember image painter, which goes and tries to fetch an image from a URL. We need to go to our project again and add that permission, right? Because Android is a protected box, if you will. Whenever we want to get something from a URL, we need to have the permission. So you can say uses permission like that and hit enter, and there is the internet. If you don't see it, you can start typing internet like that, and the first one, that's the one. So / and closes itself. So this is what we need to do every time we want to use the internet to fetch images or to get something from the API or whatever we want to do. Whenever we want to access the internet, this has to be added into our Android manifest. At the time of the recording of this video, images that we're getting from the internet don't show inside of our preview. So we can go ahead and refresh that. Even though we added an image there, it's not going to show here, right? As you see, it doesn't show. But the best way, of course, is to run in our emulator or your device. So in this case, I have my device here that you can see on the screen, and we should see images. And voila, you can see now we went and got images for each one of our movies. Pretty neat. Very good. So if I click again, we go back to details, which doesn't have anything. Okay, so we're making good progress. Now, the great thing about this library, right, the Coil, is that for our image, we can actually do something cool. For instance, we can invoke the builder, right, inside of our remember there. Let's go ahead and close this. Inside of our remember, I can say pass something else. I'm going to pass the builder, say builder like this, and I'm going to pass a lambda. Inside here, I can say, for instance, animation. I can say I want crossfade to happen. So I'm going to say true to get a little animation when these images are being loaded. The other thing we can do, we can crop this image that is coming in into a circle. It's very easy. All you have to do, you have to invoke transformations and then pass here a circle crop transformation like that. All of that is being done inside of this builder parameter or argument that we're passing. All right. And it's optional, obviously. Okay. So now if I run again, you will see the difference. You've seen this before, but now we're using the image painter, in this case, the image Coil, remember image painter, to do so. And you can see, there we go. It looks very nice. We have that nice circle image. And of course, we have the director and the release here. for each one of the movies. Very good.